Hey guys, welcome back to the Average Joe Movie Show. I'm Matt Wallace. This is Andrew Brown.
Hey.
Bitches. Shane is not here today. Well, he is. He just doesn't have a mic. We had some technical difficulties, so we could not do this live. So we are recording now in the studio 3 hours after we were supposed to go live. I am in a very good mood. I'm in a very good fucking mood right now. But I did not want this show to not happen for one good reason, and that's the movie I saw this weekend. Actually, we saw this weekend. I saw it twice. You saw it once.
Yeah.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is directed by the Daniels and starring Michelle Yeoh. If you're not familiar with Michelle Yeoh, she is the grandma in Crazy Rich Asians, which was recent. Another most popular is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was in that as well. Also, a familiar face from The Goonies. I don't remember his name.
I don't either. The little kid, 80s child star from the Goonies that was also in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom.
No Time for Love, Dr. Jones.
Haven't seen him in anything in decades.
Yeah, apparently he hasn't been on screen for 20 years before this movie. So, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis, which surprisingly was a very good role for her. Yeah. But we'll get into all that. And it really begged the question because we're going into I think there's just been a whole slew of multiversal movies coming out. You obviously have the ones from Marvel with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You have Spider-Man No Way Home, which delves into it. Even with the new Marvel shows with Loki and what was the other show? I mean, WandaVision. I don't think I really delved into the multiverse so much, but it kind of set it up. But yeah, now we're like moving into this whole stream of multiversal movies, and this one, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is produced by A24. It would actually have some familiar faces because it was produced by the Russo brothers, who did Endgame and a bunch of TV shows.
Infinity War,
mostly
Captain America movies.
So they know a thing or two about this. So
they've directed movies that cost almost $400 million.
Yeah,
to make.
And this is a very low budget movie where it's like $24 million.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective, Jay and Silent Bob 20 years ago cost $20 million just to make that, and they barely made budget. So if you've seen this movie, and once we talk about it, you'll understand that's a tall order that's an ambitious movie for such a low budget.
$25 million sounds like a lot until you see the movie and realize everything that they did with special effects and CGI and post-production. It's astounding. It's really good.
Well, let's get into kind of the. You want to try to get the synopsis of this movie? You want to have me try it?
I mean, I'll give it a go.
Do you think you? I'm just kidding. I got it.
All right. So before he even starts saying anything, that's how hard it is, kind of to explain the plot. Don't go into it tired. Be ready to really have to follow what's going on because it jumps around a lot.
Yeah. So Michelle Yeoh plays Evelyn Wong, and she is a Chinese immigrant. I think it's Chinese, Korean might be, but she's an immigrant trying to make a life for herself for the American dream, and she opens up a laundromat and gets married to her husband and tries to have that American dream. And they're in the middle of their tax. They're in the middle of a tax meeting and possibly closing down their entire store, so they're trying to save it. And all of a sudden, the husband gets almost possessed by another entity of the multiverse, the Alphaverse, and tells him, "You're in great danger. You have to help us." And Evelyn has no idea what's going on, and so she's sent on a multiversal crusade through her own consciousnesses, through other decisions that altered her path in other lives. And there's a way to do that called verse jumping, and they teach her how to do it. And then she kind of collides with the antagonist, and things are not what they seem for Miss Evelyn. So that is as best I can do in layman's terms as I can get to it without spoiling any of the movie. But it's
a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster movie. It has everything.
Of emotion, of visuals. It's every genre combined in one. It starts you off right off the bat. the lead character, the protagonist. She's just very much in disarray and disheveled, and her life is all cluttered, and they're trying to handle this tax situation. Jamie Lee Curtis is their tax agent that's just like the bearer of bad news at all times. They're on the verge of a divorce. Everything's just going wrong, so you're not comfortable starting out the movie, and then you jump into these other universe travel, very Rick and Morty-esque.
Yeah.
There's little catalysts that can transport you to another universe, like putting your shoes on the wrong feet, or crazy shit, man. Paper cutting yourself in between your fingers. What else? There's a bunch of different shit, man.
There's picking somebody's nose and making them eat the boogers. There's
the butt plug.
Yeah, that one was.
But from the time the movie starts to the time that it reveals the universe jumping science fiction nature, to the breakdown of the American dream, and like where happiness truly comes from, where all the values that come into play, and it never gives you a break.
Yeah,
the movie never gives you. It's such a roller coaster ride from start to finish. There's never a dull moment.
Yeah, once you think like you kind of figure this movie out, you're like, oh, okay, this is where the movie's gonna go. It's just like it takes a crazy turn. Like you're not expecting any of it. Like the actual antagonist versus the protagonist, like that entire like fight, or their entire like character arcs are completely different.
Yeah.
By the end, you think that they've resolved something, and something else is brought up, and you're just literally, I wouldn't say confused, but it brings up very valid points on where you want to be in the universe. Do you want to be just a speck on just the multiversal graph where nothing matters, or do you want
the nihilistic approach? Comes into play a lot. Does anything matter? Is there any point to anything? Should we value anything? Should we even try? Should we attempt anything?
Yeah, like the yin and yang type.
Yeah.
So, and there's the antagonist obviously has the nihilist point of view and puts it, kind of puts it into a black hole of an everything bagel.
A bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's just like that's just one of the things that she manifested into.
She combines literally every aspect of the universe into the form of a bagel.
The antagonist literally wants to end its life, and that it creates a black hole of sorts, and you're just wondering, like, obviously foreshadowing, what an existential crisis, and like, is life even worth living, kind of thing. And
the whole thing's an existential crisis.
Yeah, it's just and it conquers so many subplots at one time. Once these universes start breaking, you find out that each universe that you find yourself in has a nice little subplot to it as well.
Yeah,
there's one where that mentions a Pixar movie that we won't mention, but it'll about mid movie you'd be like.
There's one that's
flips
fully
it over.
Animated for a second there. It cuts into just animation. There's one where everybody has hot dogs for fingers.
Yeah. There's one where they're piñatas.
They're literally piñatas. Yeah.
And there's a scene in there where everything is silent. Everything is completely silent, but it's the most it's I wouldn't even say the climax of the film, but
it involves a void of human life. If like on the planet, like human life, this was a universe where human life, it didn't work out. It didn't make sense for it to exist, but they still exist within it in a way without ruining it. It's really strange.
Yeah, and that's kind of the I wouldn't, like I said, I don't want to call it the climax, but the sentiment really brings it home.
Yeah.
So
they do a bunch of weird stuff, man. Halfway through the movie, they roll the credits. It says directed by Daniels, and it looks like the movie's over. Starts rolling the credits, and then there's still another hour.
Oh my God!
After that,
it's still the commercial.
Yeah.
It's like they watched.
I couldn't help but think of Rick and Morty a lot of the time. Watching
it had
Matrix, Rick and Morty. Definitely Michel Gondry, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Science of Sleep-esque. But with a very I don't know, heartwarming family drama aspect to it that keeps reeling it all back in. That's the glue that holds the film together. Other than that, it would feel like an overglorified fan fiction film, like anything goes, like the kind of thing you'd see at a convention, like a very independent short film or something, But it's the acting and the core values that they're trying to get across on the screen, and why human life is worthwhile, and what is gonna make our lives valuable and satisfactory, and all the values in the family drama
that you could want.
That's what keeps you hooked. Is the character relationships and development and dynamic.
You gave a shit about every single one of them.
Oh, for sure.
Even though there were so many universes, there were so many characters that you latched yourself to, and I latched myself to even the non-formal one that we were talking about. I was just like, how? But it was so good. I remember walking out of the theater, and I texted Drew. It's like, hey, I just got out of the movie. Shit, no bullshit. Best movie I've seen in the past decade. And you know what? I saw it again yesterday, which is a Saturday if this is recorded. So, still feel that right now.
I wholeheartedly disagree, but it's definitely one of the best movies of the year. I think everybody, for the most part, is agreeing on that. It's got like 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. If you just start reading through some reviews, scanning through them, the first three you read will probably say the same thing he just said. The best movie in years, And then there's the occasional viewer that just shits on it just because it's so overly complicated. It might go over certain people's heads if you're not ready for such an engaging, controversial, contradicting story. There's just so much to it.
I think almost in a sense, not to say everybody can like a movie, but in something that's kind of universally acclaimed and kind of crowd pleasing. Like this is a genre film that's actually crowd pleasing.
It is and it isn't though. It's not for the people that just want a movie spoon fed to them with like the very formulaic approach. You just get to sit there like a mindless drone and just have a fucking drool bib and that collects it, and you don't actually have to think at all. That's not this movie. So if you want those boring run of the mill, you don't have to think about anything or figure anything out. It's not for you. But also, what you're saying is that the values, the drama aspects, the feel good moments, like that, everybody likes that.
Yeah, and it's got compelling characters. They don't make two stupid decisions. The protagonist is not overly powerful for an unnatural reason. Like, she gets thrown into this whole thing, gets taught it, and she does pick it up quite quickly, but she does fuck up, and when she does, it's
still not a superhuman. It's not like watching a superhero film
it's not like
like
watching somebody who's just like, I'm just naturally good at this, and you're like, well, that's kind of it doesn't proclaim itself to be some sort of superhero movie of any sorts. It just like, if that really happened, like it really mostly reminded me of we're in Rick and Morty, just like interdimensional cable.
Yeah, it's like one of those.
So, and I'm sure that they got a little bit of inspiration from them, because it's reeking of it completely.
About Ratatouille.
Yeah, Ratatouille.
There's a dimension. It's just like Ratatouille, and it stems from like her pronunciation of it, and like the main character, her daughter and husband are making fun of the way she's pronouncing it. She says Ratatouille instead of Ratatouille. But then there ends up actually being a dimension like that where the guy's got a raccoon under his chef's hat instead of a rat, a big ass raccoon that's controlling everything he does. Dude, and it seems like it's gonna be like a fleeting moment, and it's like this animatronic looking puppet fucking raccoon, dude, with facial expressions and stuff. But it ends up actually like factoring in quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's in the film like a few times.
And then you attach yourself. I'm telling you, it's crazy how they do it, and that just goes off with just superb writing. Yeah. Like, it's like, for you to write something as well as that is, not to say there's probably not any plot holes or anything like that, but just
so the Daniels wrote it too. They wrote and directed, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Steiner or whatever.
Yeah,
and I think they just credit themselves as Daniels.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So
they made Swiss Army Man a couple years back.
What did you think of that one?
I wasn't a big fan. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. It was super weird, super weird. It makes me want to go back and revisit it, because I think these guys have an amazing future ahead of them. They're just so unique. Like this movie will make you rethink where you're at in life. I think, like I said, it's existential crisis worthy. You'll come out of the movie just really like reestablishing where your core values lie, and how you want to approach the rest of your day and the rest of your week. And I don't know, it just makes you think. It's very philosophical, So, and I like that they were able to incorporate all that in such a unique science fiction manner. I say science fiction, but it's like I said, it's action, it's a love story, it's drama, it's sci-fi. I think it's everything but horror. That's what me and Allie were saying. Like, I could have used like a horror universe, like they're in an insane asylum, or like I don't know, but they didn't. That would have kind of contradicted the tone for the movie, the feel good, family oriented.
There was a scene breakdown by the it was posted by Vanity Fair where the directors and Michelle Yeoh are talking about a certain scene when Jamie Lee Curtis, they kind of take over the body. The universe takes over. That consciousness from that universe comes to the certain universe that we're in, and starts controlling the body that they're a part of.
I didn't think about that. That gets pretty horror-esque, actually.
Yeah,
they make her pretty menacing.
But
really in a really goofy way.
It's so goofy. But what I'm going with that is she's literally beating the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And like her beating her up sends her to a different universe, or like she's trying to, like she has to tell her something, and for her to do, like that's the way to verse jump, is you have to do a certain thing and then press on this sort of device, and it verse jumps that character into your universe, and they accidentally got pressed, and she gets sent back to a pretty close universe where she's about to do the taxes, but this time she got handed the papers of divorce. So she's like, I just never talked to you. So now she's dealing with not only Jamie Lee Curtis beating the shit out of her physically, but mentally she's having this crisis of losing her family.
Yeah,
all in the same scene, like, and it's just all just colliding together. I'm just like, oh, that's just such great storytelling. Completely, I just love it so much, and like I had to walk away from that movie and just think on it. I just had to think on it. I was really a movie doesn't really do that to me, to where I was just like, man, I don't even know what to think.
I'll tell you, if you sat down with a piece of paper and pencil and wrote down like all the core values that you could find throughout the film, there'd be like 7 of them or whatever, and just jotted them down on paper and abided by them, I think like you'd be on track for like a really solid, fulfilled life. You know? Like that. I'm serious.
Yeah,
like, it made me think about all that shit, like big picture stuff.
It gave all the senses like stimulation. Like it was eye candy, super eye candy. The visuals on it were amazing. How the fast cutting, jump cutting,
traveling between universes. It's like a one of those slapdash rapid fire series of cuts, like really fast cuts. Like they did that really well. All the post production stuff. That's why I'm saying like the meager budget that they had. Like let me tell you, they really ran with that budget and they made it work.
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes you think like. Now you got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming out in less than a month, and I'm just like, man, this one set the bar for me. And then I realized I was just like, man, there's not a lot of multiversal movies, but you can think of just a few, but they're more action movies that try to tackle it, and the drama part is always. That's tough. That's tough to do. And if I'm thinking right, I would have to really think hard on a drama that deals with multiverse.
Movies rarely, if ever, have both and do it effectively.
Yeah, like Total Recall would be like somewhat of a I wouldn't call it a multiverse. I guess that's more of a what do you even call it? Just agent like just wiped his memory. But
yeah.
I
was saying Eternal Sunshine. I mean, that kind of makes me think of that.
Yeah. Like Jet Li's The One. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, have you?
No.
Like, so Jet Li, there isn't just a universe, there's a multiverse. That's Jason Statham talking. And there's Jet Li's has found his way to travel and kill all the subsequent Jet Li's of the world. I forget what his name was in the movie, but he got down to one left. So each time he kills somebody, he gets stronger. Like all that energy is evenly spread out, and anytime he kills somebody, that energy gets dispersed to the rest of them. And now he's down to 2. So now these guys are equals, and so if he defeats him, he'd become the most powerful being in the multiverse.
Yeah.
And that's what his thing was. God, I just remember it just being so goofy, but I loved it so much. Those kind of like science fiction dealing with the multiverse, no matter how loopholeian right? I think I just made that up. No matter how many loopholes are in this film, I just eat it up. I eat it up all the time. Same thing, with like Back to the Future. Like I know, like one mistake that has changed in the past creates an alternate universe, and Back to the Future did it in the 80s.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a multiverse movie, but I don't know. Would you call, like on the spot right now? Would you call Back to the Future at least part 2? Even part 3. I don't even know. Like.
Yeah.
Like I never really thought of it.
Now that I think about it, because you put it in perspective, like if Marty McFly had sex with Lorraine, like what the fuck would have happened? That creates like a totally new skewed timeline, and every little thing you can do is gonna throw you into another existence. So in a sense that that is.
Yeah, and that was playing the line of time traveling movie and multiverse movie. That was almost like this is kind of in real time for me right now to think about.
Yeah.
Like I just was really trying to think of movies that deal with that type of thing, and then it's mostly dealing with time travel. Not, and this movie's obviously called Everything, Everyone, Everything. God, I can't even think. Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. So this is all happening. It's juxtaposed in the exact same moment, rather than back in time.
Yeah.
That needs to be changed. So that, I guess there's a difference there. I guess I'm sure the more multiversal movies come out, these more subgenres of multiverse movies get labeled. So we'll start it now.
Combine that sort of technical, super techie fan fiction, science fiction, crazy universal realm with something with some real sentiment, like I was gonna say like Garden State. It kind of pulled those emotions out of me.
Yeah,
an existential crisis movie like that's grounded in reality, with all that on top of it.
Yeah.
And it just created really an awesome blend. I mean, you got to stick through it. It's got arcs, it's got twists and turns, and it's a roller coaster,
Yeah.
But once that stuff starts coming out and you realize everything that's going on, it glues you to it. You'll find yourself super super interested in the plot.
Yeah. It's once it comes to about the latter half of the first act, you start to really feel, you don't know what side you're on. At that point, those are always the good movies, right? You're like, do I side with the antagonist or do I side with the protagonist? You have no idea. I mean, or kind of, are you in the middle? Like, how can you can't obviously gauge that, but it was something to question. I'm always how is somebody like who is having a failing business or what have you, not like thinking about what could have been, like, oh, what if I didn't go here or made this decision? This is where I would be, and you kind of see it all together.
Or if you take the nihilistic approach, none of it matters anyway.
Yeah, it was like it doesn't matter, so I'll just go.
So you might as well cherish the moment,
Yeah,
enjoy every second of every day now, because in the end, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Life
it
goes
just
by in
keeps
the blink of
going.
an eye.
Bagel. They try to reel you back into that nihilist, like trying to think of all your decisions, and and she kind of takes on, like, she has Michelle Evelyn's character goes through that exact same ebb and flow. She's really high up, and all of a sudden is diving into that nihilistic approach.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
All this with constant humor.
Yeah.
Really,
oh my gosh.
really funny. So I mean, laughing out loud, like just genuinely funny scenes.
And all the most of the jokes really, really hit.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of slapstick, more, in that regard. And oh god, the action in it too was awesome.
Yeah.
Like and obviously Michelle Yeoh does all her own stunts. So like the shield spinning scene, that was all her. So or what
I
have
didn't
you.
realize that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So obviously anything that probably would break her neck or something like that, she probably didn't do. But
so in one universe, she's just a sign spinner on the street. She's a nobody, and she utilizes that in martial arts in another scene. So she's able to tap in, once she's visited another universe, tap into the potential that she has in that universe and apply it to the here and now.
Yeah.
But this villain is following her from universe to universe, is tracking her the whole way.
Yeah. It's just insane. And it's so unique. It's such a unique film that needs to at least be seen, by, if you're a cinephile, or even I think it pleases the general public. As much as I want to call it a genre film, it just really has so many morals to it, and
I could possibly say it's the most unique film I've seen in 10 years.
Yeah.
Or however long. I'd have to think of, backtrack and figure out what movie that was that I thought.
Interstellar?
No, I don't think so. Because that's so grounded in reality and in science, and it's comparable to other things. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. No, I don't know, man. There's nothing that comes to mind right now that's as outlandish as this. It's straight out of a comic book. There are no boundaries. There are no parameters. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen, pretty much.
And like we said before, if you think you get the movie, it'll just change.
Yeah.
You're not expecting it. It's amazing in that. I'm going to see it again with the wife. She hasn't seen it yet. I'm going to force her to see it. So, but yeah. Besides that, I was actually going to watch Ambulance. And I was like, I'm not ruining this. Not ruining how I feel right now. Even though I think Ambulance will be really good because I'm a huge Michael Bay fan.
I don't even remember the last time he made a movie.
It was the not ridiculous.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
He made a movie with Ryan Reynolds. What the fuck was it? It was a Netflix movie, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Something on that. But are you looking it up there, Shane? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but
was that one getting good reviews?
The Ambulance?
Yeah.
It's gotten the Michael Bay has gone to like a Rob Zombie type person, if you like his films, you'll like it.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you won't like it, kind of thing. So like he has an acquired taste, like everything blows up unnaturally, blows up.
Yeah.
So it's
like John Woo and Doves.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also things blow up.
Yeah. Every there's 7, one minor fender bender causes a 17 car pile up. I don't know. So, and helicopters are involved somehow. So, that's the word Bayhem. That's what it is.
That's
so,
great.
it has come aplenty in this new movie. And there's another. I wanted to see Sonic 2, so I was going to see.
I want to see it just because Jim Carrey's in it.
Did you watch? Did you like the first one?
Didn't see the first one. I want to see that one as well. I have my doubts about it. I don't think it's going to be my kind of movie. As big
it's
as
kids. It's a kid.
I was
movie.
a big fan of Sonic. I was a Sega Genesis kid as growing up. But Jim Carrey's on his way out of acting supposedly, and he said it would have to be like a script written in gold for him to come back. And I just look up to Jim Carrey. He was a big part of my life growing up, and just the person he's become. He's kind of a hermit. He's kind of a weird dude. His philosophy, and he's dedicated himself to painting and just trying to find happiness. And I don't know. He's just a really interesting guy, and I just want to see it. Literally just because he's in it, playing Robotnik, playing the villain. And he plays such character roles like that. He does.
He's obviously the standout in the first one.
Yeah, I'd like to see how he pulls off a character role like that.
Yeah, he's definitely the light of the movie.
Yeah.
The second one, I have no idea, but you got Tails and Knuckles. And there's a lot of homages to the original game, which is great. So I'm super excited about it. I know what I'm going to be getting myself into. So
Yeah.
that's just, but I say that because this will go into a new segment soon enough that's called Matt's Rants, because I've been numb to all these movies lately, especially with Marvel and just the theatrical films that have been coming out. I just haven't really just got my attention. Like, I'll watch them because I genuinely want to know what happens to these characters, because I do love these characters, but it's become so numbing. It's like watching a TV show full of fillers, and I don't know exactly where it's going, but I'm starting to not get invested into it anymore. And I'm not saying like I'm getting depressed or anything about like the movies. I can always go back in time. That's the great thing about movies, they exist now and before, and whatever else gets made in the future.
Well,
so
don't worry, man. We got the best movie of the year coming up in a couple weeks, right?
yeah, and that's right. That's another thing. The movies just maybe it was the pandemic. That and Marvel, Star Wars, and got the opportunity to kind of take advantage of it, and took advantage of us viewers. Not to say that those shows I don't particularly I like them, so it's not like like, oh, they're just making shit. I was like, yeah, I'll still watch them because I'm still vested in say these characters. But now movies are really coming back. At least I hope in a really good way. And I just
got to count on the visionaries like obviously Chris Nolan, or we got Robert Eggers bringing out The Northman in a couple weeks, who made The Witch, The Lighthouse. What else do we got? We got Alex Garland, who made Annihilation, wrote 28 Days Later. He's
Ex Machina.
He's only directed a couple films now, but he directed the movie Men coming out. I consider him an upcoming visionary director. Jordan Peele's got a movie coming out. So I think we have a lot to look forward to this year.
It's just
maybe not a lot of big blockbuster hits.
I mean, Top Gun.
Maybe it'll be more of an independent.
I'm all about Top Gun too. Like
actually, that last trailer kind of got me. I'm not a big Top Gun fan, and I was like, oh man, that trailer was good.
Yeah, so I'm all about these big production movies to be seen in theaters, and even so, this movie that we were talking about today needs to be seen in theaters, because not only that, like, they changed. You could, if you're like a little cinephile, you can understand, like, they changed all the lensing of the entire show. Like, anytime it cuts to a different multiverse, they're using a different lens, and it's like they go from anamorphic to 4:3 all the way to 16:9, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
Like, those are little things that even that they spread out throughout the movie. Like, and I noticed it. I was like, why is it just changing frames? Like, what's going on? And then I realized, like, oh, because it's a different verse, the universe of sorts. So just to enhance the experience,
So I mean, you've had time to think about it, and you're still stating it's probably the best movie you've seen in 10 years. It's up. That's a big deal,
I just haven't felt that way about a movie in
it's
so long.
It's still sticking so much in your consciousness. You're still thinking about it from day to day. You've seen it twice, and you'll see it a third time. That's saying a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
I do watch.
I don't think you're just thirsty for a good cinematic experience. No. Like, I think it is genuinely just that interesting. And
and I want to.
It just fires on all cylinders.
And I want to. Not only that is because I want people to see it.
Yeah.
I want people to, and almost.
It's got good messages that everybody could benefit from.
And see how they react too. Like Emily, my wife would be, I think she'll love the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And she'll, we were going to go see it. She was going to go see it with you, but it was like too late. It was like 10 o'clock. Movie got out at 1 kind of thing. She ain't that guy. You're not that girl, pal. You're not that girl.
I was pretty tired, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So we'll probably see it tonight, go on a little date, what have you. But it's it's one of those movies that there's one movie a year that I feel like that I could just walk back into a bunch of times. Like, I remember when Baby Driver came out, I was like, yep, that's, you just know that it's just that's the movie of the year. Mission Impossible Fallout. Like, even like, I know that all these movies are just on the scale of things. It's just like,
agree to disagree. We just have different tastes.
Yeah, yeah. Not to say like, I mean, I'm not upset, the fact that you don't, like these I'll probably be petty about it later on in later shows, but with 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 the storytelling and I want to be entertained. I want to be entertained. I want to be vested in characters completely. I'm not looking for something that I don't even to describe it, in like one word. I just want to be entertained. Yeah, that's probably just the best way I can do it. And that's just I don't want to be fluffed, at all. Like I want to go straight to it, and that's why I like Michael Bay films too. Like it's just like, I'm gonna give you this. And I'm like, you know what, I like it. Let's do it. Same thing with Zack Snyder. I know me and Shane don't agree a lot on Zack Snyder, but he's visually pleasing, at least in my perception. What does that mean? It means you. Yeah, you're right. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm all about visually pleasing. I'm just not like an action junkie.
No, yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's not. Yeah,
definitely look for visually pleasing. I think the Northman's going to be that.
Yeah,
in a dark sort of way, like Batman was, where it's all just very, very drab and dark and shadows and atmospheric. Like that's the kind of movie I'm already like thinking I'm going to see it twice in theaters.
I mean, just seeing Alex Skarsgård throwing that fucking spear back at them, I'm just like, oh my god. So, but yeah, we're gonna actually be previewing that next week. So we're gonna be, that's.
I think it was Alfonso Cuarón, Academy Award-winning director. He was like really talking it up. Like, visually saying like it feels like you're there. It's an overwhelming visual cinematic experience. Like it's Robert Eggers pulls out all the stops, dude. With the lighthouse, they built that lighthouse, man. They Nova Scotia, or I forget exactly where they filmed it. The weather you're seeing, the shit weather, it was really like that, dude. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson were like at each other's throats, like didn't even like each other on set. Like it was not great filming conditions, and I heard that the Northman was similar. He kind of immerses the actors in an uncomfortable environment,
like a Francis Ford Coppola
that's
type.
Similar to the environment that the story is taking place in.
Yeah,
so I can't stop thinking about that movie. I don't think I've looked forward to something so much in like a year.
I feel like we're gonna see a little bit of me come out from you. We'll see. I'm gonna come out no matter how good that movie is. Yeah,
I've seen The Lighthouse.
Movie sucks. 1 star.
Dude, I've seen The Lighthouse like 10 times. I've seen The Witch.
The goddamn fats.
6 times. Yeah.
Goddamn fats. We're gonna be previewing that movie along with a lot of Robert Eggers next week.
Yeah.
So save everything you got.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna be talking mostly. I like Robert Eggers. I do not like The Witch. I will say that right
Understandable.
here. So and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it another chance this week. So I do own it, just for that fact that I know I wanted to rewatch.
Score, man.
So we'll get to it.
That score gets under my skin.
But yeah, to end things off on everything everywhere all at once. Not to say that I've beaten this movie to a pulp already with trying to get you guys to watch it.
The horse is dead.
Yeah, it's dead. It's dead. But it's so different and so unique that it needs to be seen in theaters. Even if you're just slightly interested, maybe you'll get something out of it. But I thought about this movie for a very long time and still thinking about it to this day. And I never had a movie make me laugh so hard, and then 2 minutes later have me crying.
If and when you start watching it and you have your doubts early on in the first segment, in the first 30 minutes, stick it out. Trust me.
Yeah,
Trust me. It's going to come back around. It's going to ground itself more in reality, and it's going to be very relatable to everybody in the audience. They make it relatable.
Yeah.
It's not intangible, even though it's such a out there concept,
Let me put this in perspective for the movie theater experience I had. If anybody knows about the show, I hate talking. I hate ruffling popcorn. I think that popcorn is the worst fucking movie theater snack of all time because it makes so much noise. And let's just say in this movie had everybody eating a bunch of popcorn in the beginning. There was fucking teenagers. There were like 70-year-old people there. There was people my age. It was a widespread demographic. And let's just say by the non-life form scene, everybody where it's silent. It has and there's not one word spoken.
It's
it's
a subtitled scene.
Yeah, it is
quiet, and it's two people communicating just through words on the screen and nature, and you'll see.
You'll see whenever you see it. But
it really hooks you, like you're into it.
Yeah, not a word from anybody. No, I had those kids on their phones during the previews, what have you, and then I don't think they hit their phones after like the first 10 minutes. So it's one of those movies, man. Like you'll like it. So if I haven't sold this movie yet, and you know what, even if you hate it, you know what, I'm sorry that your opinion is wrong. So it's whatever, Yeah. But yeah, please go see it. There's not many movies like this get made, and we want more movies like this to be made. And it's all it's all for the viewer. There wasn't too many people in that movie theater, and I think that movie theater should be packed out. Like if it's a Marvel movie, these movies need to be made.
It's artistic freedom at its best.
Yeah,
with no parameters.
Yeah, if you like Rick and Morty, you like The Matrix, you like Kung Fu, mix those all together.
Yeah, it's got like some Kung Fu hustle aspects.
Yeah,
it's just like outlandish, cartoony Kung Fu. It's fun.
It's so much fun, and we'll end it on this. Just saying that movies are in a dire time, especially the art house movies, these genre films that really get looked over by these big budget Marvel movies that are formulaic. They're not saying lack storytelling, but these ones are, you could definitely tell that the heart and soul is everywhere, and it's definitely something that I'm gonna be watching for the rest of my life. Honestly, it's up there with The Matrix. Not to say best movie of all time, but it's definitely, after one viewing, after how many movies I've seen, definitely in the top. I'd say top 30. That's where it's at. So, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. So, if you like what you see here, subscribe to our YouTube. We're going to be making videos soon enough outside of the podcast. We're going to be doing lots and lots of live things coming up this summer. We got our live streaming, or not live streaming, but our live shows during the summer. We'll show 3 movies at our local Cinematic Theater. We'll get on with that. We're also doing a live podcast at Tiernanog in Daytona. You got some pins coming out, don't you?
Yep. I got the Ragged Cadavers. That's my business, enamel pins, all based on horror films that I design. And the next one's going to be based on Nightbreed from 1990, because I'm such a big Clive Barker fan. First pin I ever did was from Hellraiser, also Clive Barker. Nightbreed is closer to my heart. It's going to be a 3-pin set. It's going to be available on the website at Ragged Cadavers. You can look me up on Instagram. But it might be available at these events we're talking about.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yep.
Well, we'll see you next week when we talk Robert Eggers and The Northman. So, peace out to that. We'll have Shane back on live by then. So, we'll get you. Shane, do you have anything else to say? No? Didn't think so. That's all right. He didn't even see the movie, so it's all right. Maybe we convinced him to. He's saying no. No. Oh, he said yes. He said yes in another universe. So, great.
Hot dog fingers. Only in the hot dog fingers universe.
All right. Peace out, y'all. We'll see you all next week. Love you. Mean it. Bitch.